All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us for this Making Strides at Town Hall, just days before the annual walk, now a drive because of the pandemic. KGN9 is once again proud to be a media sponsor. We're all in this fight against breast cancer together. And because of the pandemic and the need for social distancing, how we unite and fight back is looking a lot different. Denis Cournoyer is here to walk us through that. And Denis is a Senior Manager of Community Development for the American Cancer Society. And my co-anchor, Pat Paris, is here to talk about the Real Men Wear Pink campaign. But first, we've been airing these inspirational stories in our newscast about survivors and cancer research. And we wanted to show you one right now so that you can understand how standing united can help make a difference. And meet ARIAS. She's recently diagnosed with breast cancer. Take a look.
We are a little over a week away from the Making Strides Against Breast Cancer Drive. KGN9 has partnered with the American Cancer Society to raise awareness.
And for about a month, we've been profiling survivors and those involved in research and fundraising. Well, here's another inspirational story on ARIAS' journey and her crew.
Claudia is not new to the Making Strides for Breast Cancer walks. She has been a supporter of the cause for years, but she never dreamed she would be walking for herself. Her doctor gave her the devastating news last year.
And it was August 21st, a week before school started. And I was like, okay.
Claudia has undergone 3 surgeries. She lost both her breasts.
And then reconstruction. And there was a delay on reconstruction because of the pandemic.
Claudia had no clue cancer ran in her Latina family. That topic's considered taboo.
They were asking a lot of questions in regards to family. And I really had to, ask my mom and my dad's side of the family, those tough questions, hey, do you know, have you heard?
Family and friends got her through the entire ordeal, but so did the support team she formed, a team she calls CLAUDIA'S CRUE. That spelling is no mistake. You see, one of her favorite bands is Motley Crue.
And I thought, everybody looks at them, they're like, oh, scary, right? But if you actually get to read their story, there's very neat things that they've done in their lives to help their own community. And I said, I think that sometimes my crew might be a little scary, but we're all for a good cause.
So Claudia and her crew will continue to do their part to inspire, to comfort, and to make sure no one walks alone.
And this year's fundraising event is now a drive instead of a walk. It's taking place Sunday morning, October 18th. If you'd like to take a part in that or you want to just donate now, just head to our website, kgo9.com, for all the information.
All right, so let's get to that big event, the annual Walk Now Drive. Denis, explain what's happening this year. It's quite different.
Yes, it is. And first, I just want to thank KGN9 so much for all you're doing to promote the event, to really highlight some of those wonderful stories of breast cancer survivors and what they go through. So thank you so much. And thank you for inviting me back for our town hall. As is known now, we are doing a drive on Sunday, October 18th, because we're just not able to walk as a group anymore. And so we need your help to bring breast cancer awareness to the Tucson community. And so we're asking people to drive this year. But before they come to the site, I'm going to ask you to decorate your car in pink, because we again need to make sure that Tucson community knows that October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and we didn't give up just because of COVID-19, that we are still here fighting and raising money for the cause. And so in case you're wondering, well, how do I decorate my car in pink? I'm going to give you some examples that the South Point Catholic High School Palm Line team did for me before this meeting today, just to give you some ideas on how you can decorate your car in pink. Now, we want to make sure that you can still see and that there's nothing that's going to obstruct your view from driving. So be careful how you do that. Make sure everything stays on your car while you're driving, because when you make it to the finish line, we're going to have some judges, and we're going to give a prize out to the best decorated car in pink. So these are some examples that you can consider. You can even put some things in your back seat if you want to do some of the inside of your car. But we really want to make sure that as we're driving as a group, throughout Tucson that people are brought to their attention about breast cancer awareness. So I want to thank the girls for putting those pictures together. We're going to meet at the Geico parking lot on the north end of their parking lot, which is off of Keno and 36th, or if you know where the Costco is up there, that's where the Geico is, between 8 and 8:30. That's when the registration period is. Then at 8:30, the drive will actually start. So before you participate, we're going to hand you a map with more detailed instructions on the route that we'll be taking. The suggestions are there to make it as easy as possible when you're driving. I did it last Sunday, and everything are right turns. We're trying to make it really easy for you to get in and out of the parking lots. We're also going to give you, I'll go through the map first, and I'll show you another thing we're going to give you at the start line. We're going to start at Geico, and then we're going to go from there to Pima Federal Credit Union on Stone and Prince area. And at each stop, they will be giving you little tokens. They'll have some bottled water if you need it. And then they also will have a code word. And you have to write down the code word on your instruction sheet at each of the stops. Because when we get to the finish line, you turn in your form, and I'll be picking out winners for door prizes if you've made it to all the stops. So each time you go to a stop, they should have a pink ribbon sign with the code word on it. You need to write it down on your sheet, and then you turn it in at the finish line. So once you leave Pima Federal Credit Union, we're going to go to O'Reilly Chevrolet on Broadway near Park Place Mall. So that drive. Then from there, we're going to go to Panera Bread on Grant and Swan. And then from there, we're going to go to the finish line at Sonora Quest Laboratories on Alvernon and Fifth. Our goal is hopefully to have our big arch inflated, that you'll actually drive underneath the arch for the finish line. And at each stop, when you pick up little items and write down their code word, we're hoping that you'll do a shout out to our sponsors and thank them for participating in the event, showing their community support. So at the beginning, as I mentioned, we're also going to give you one of these signs, or possibly two of them, where we want you to dedicate your drive or your ride for someone in your life that's touched by breast cancer. We know that normally at a walk event, we have stickers, and people are so honored to put on a sticker saying, I'm walking for my mom or I'm walking for myself. And they're so proud of it, especially for the survivors, but they also want to remember some of the people in their lives that have lost breast cancer. And we didn't want you to miss out on that experience and that emotion. So we're going to give you these signs where you can fill them in and just put them on your dashboard, so that as you're going around town and going to see our different stops along the way, you can then show that you're doing this on behalf of someone that you are very close to and want to make sure they know that you care about them and you're thinking of them. The route itself should take you about an hour to an hour and 15 minutes. I was fortunate when I did the route that I had a lot of green lights, and I did on Sunday morning at 8:30, like everyone's going to be doing this Sunday. You may not be as fortunate as me, but our goal is to hopefully have you be able to complete the route within an hour to an hour and 15 minutes. And we need you to follow the designated stops in the order that they are given. If you want to go a different route than what I'm suggesting, that's fine. But we would prefer that you go to the first stop, second stop, third stop in order, so that they can close up and go on. This is not a parade. We're not closing any streets down, so you need to follow all traffic laws. You don't have the right of way, unfortunately, so you'll be able to do the route safely. So again, decorate your car, show up between 8 and 8:30 so that we can start the ride at 8:30. Make sure that you can see clearly while you're driving. Go to each of the stops, get their code word, get their little giveaways, and then have a big finale at the finish line at Sonora Quest Laboratories.
That's a great idea. And we're going to talk to you a little bit later. Let's go move over to Pat. Now, he's been spearheading the campaign Real Men Wear Pink, and it has been challenging this year, hasn't it, Pat?
It has, Val. You know, in years past, I think this might be the fifth. Dennis will probably remember too. I think this might be the fifth year I've done this, the Real Men Wear Pink campaign, fourth or fifth year. And in the past, I've been able to have an event where I can do a little fundraising. In the past, it's been a coffee event. That's just not possible this year, and I think everybody understands that. So we decided, instead of having individuals at KGUN, we would have all of us join forces, and there are There are 8 of us here at K-Gun, the K-Gun men of Real Men Wear Pink. And we're soliciting donations as we have in the past years, and have a goal of $2,500. And there you see all 8 of us. And it's Kyler, it's myself, it's Mark Charter, it's our sports director, Jason Barr. You see on the bottom left, Craig Smith. Brian Brennan's been kind enough to join this year. Alan, Big Al Keith, he's done it many years with me as well, as has Alex Steiniger. I'll give it a shout out. A fellow Sabino High School grad is Alex Steiniger along with me. And so we've teamed up this year to try to meet the $2,500 goal of fundraising. And remember as well, in years past, it's been a Tucson Real Men Wear Pink campaign, and we've competed against other doctors, lawyers, famous people in Tucson. But this year, because of the pandemic, we've combined forces with the Phoenix area as well. So it's an Arizona Real Men Wear Pink. I think there are close to 30 teams around the state, including the K-Gun Men Real Men Wear Pink campaign, and trying to raise $2,500 right now. As of today, we're at $557. This campaign will go throughout the month of October. We invite you to head over to kgun9.com. And if you go to kgun9.com, our homepage, pinned a little bit further down is a Real Men Wear Pink story. And in that story, along with a video, is a link to go right to the American Cancer Society Real Men Wear Pink of Arizona page that's dedicated just to the men of K-Gun. $557 going towards that $2,500 goal. You'll see many of us on the air. I know Brian Brennan joined me last night with the lapel pin, and I had a pink tie, a little different pink tie than this one. Denis was kind of ribbing me a little bit about it's a challenge to wear pink every night when you're a guy, and pink isn't necessarily a staple of my wardrobe, right, Denis? Denis has got the pin on right now as well. A lot of times I'll wear the pin, but I try to wear a pink tie, and I probably have 6 or 7 ties, and I think I'm finally, here we are in the middle of October, starting to wear a tie for the second time. But that's our fun. Kyler's been doing it with me. He's off the rest of the week. Brian Brennan is joining us in studio doing weather the remainder of this week, and he did it last night. I'm sure he'll do it again tonight. So we get in the spirit. We have a lot of fun with it, but it is obviously a charity that's near and dear to all of our hearts. Everybody knows somebody who's been affected by breast cancer, and so that's why we do it, and we enjoy doing it, and we enjoy wearing the pink.
Yeah, and the research is key to finding treatments and cures. And my husband, not breast cancer, but a different kind of cancer, and something that was new, progressive, and it saved his life. And he had less than 6 months to live, and it's been more than 2 years. So it works, and they can't find the cancer. So this is why it's so incredible to keep these donations going and not let the pandemic stop this at all. And I'm going to show you this video here. I spoke to a U of A cancer researcher who kind of explains what happens when the funds are not there. So take a look.
The pandemic is hitting cancer research hard. Researchers are still working to save lives, but the funding to keep that work going is expected to be cut nearly in half in 2020. Well, that makes the Making Strides fundraising efforts critically important this year. We want you to meet a U of A cancer researcher who explains what happens when funds are no longer there.
So what does it take to outsmart cancer? Research. The American Cancer Society reports it's been behind almost every major cancer research breakthrough since 1946, investing just under $5 billion. The funding streams through research and training grants. U of A Assistant Professor NOEL WARFEL received one in 2016.
And what that funding did for me was immediately it allowed me to hire new people and take on grad students who I could train.
This is his biochemistry team, studying low oxygen in cancer, difficult to target with current therapies. The goal is to stop metastasis, the spread of aggressive cancer cells to new areas of the body.
As you may or may not know, the primary tumor is usually not what kills a cancer patient, but it's the spreading cancer throughout the body that ultimately is what's lethal. So if we can block these metastatic events, then hopefully we would be able to potentially cure people or at least allow them to live a long and relatively normal life.
WARFEL needs young creative minds to help him reach those breakthroughs because researchers have little time, just a few years, to show their worth. He explains what could happen if the funding stream dries up.
If they don't have access to funding and to bring in their own ideas and their own creativity, then ultimately many of these people will have to move on to other careers, whether it be in the pharmaceutical industry or outside of science altogether. And when you lose this influx of talent at the early stages, this trickles up throughout.
Slowing the progress, he says, in finding a cure for cancer.
And the pandemic has changed this year's big Making Strides fundraising event. It's now a drive instead of a walk. It's taking place Sunday morning, October 18th. Now, if you'd like to take a part in that, or you can donate now, just head to our website, KGUN9.com, for all the information.
All right, and I see that it is incredibly important that the funds don't dry up. Dennis, talk a little bit about that. We do want to hear how this has hit home for you, but talk about the research itself. And when you first heard that the American Cancer Society would only possibly reach half of the amount that they usually get per year.
Yeah, that was devastating news because we've been an organization over 100 years and we've always been able to meet the commitments that we set out at the beginning of the year to our granted researchers. And to find out that even for 2020, we may not be able to meet that obligation without additional fundraising. And so with that, like he said, what it means is some individuals will leave the field because they're not able to find that money elsewhere. We fund researchers who are sort of new in the science field. They don't have that history of research data that then they can go to the National Institute of Health or the federal government for much larger sums. So they need what sort of like the seed money that the American Cancer Society can give them that gets them started and gets them that data that they need to continue their research and hopefully expand upon that. So if you take that away from those individuals, you just don't know what research breakthrough we are now going to have to wait 20, 30, 40 years to get to because that individual is no longer a researcher. They had to leave the field, or maybe they picked a different science that they were able to get research grants from. So, when someone who's diagnosed with cancer, you talk to people now, and a lot of times the doctor will say, you know what, 5 years ago, we didn't have a drug that is going to help you through your cancer journey. Now they may have to say, you know what, we still don't have anything. It may be another 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now. Well, for that patient hearing the news they have cancer today, that's devastating. And so we can't let that happen. So we need everyone to help us at whatever level that they can. We know everyone's dealing with the COVID-19 and the pandemic financially, whether you lost your job, you got a pay cut, you may be working 2 jobs now. But for the American Cancer Society, we can't let these researchers down. And so we've cut every expense we possibly could to be able to have all the funds we need, but it's still not enough. And so if you are able to support the Real Men Wear Pink campaign or the Making Strides Against Breast Cancer campaign at whatever dollar amount possible, please consider making a donation because we really need your help. That's the website for the Making Strides event that you can go to. It will be open through the end of December. So if you don't have the money now, but maybe a month from now, you end up with a little extra pocket change, please consider making a donation to support it.
Yeah, Pat, what have you been hearing? What's the feedback that you've been given as far as donations are concerned?
A lot what Dennis was talking about too, and you and I have both done stories along those lines with all the charities and the various struggles that they're having because of the pandemic, and it's real. We had a story last night. I believe the number is about a quarter of all Americans right now are either unemployed or underemployed, and we understand that. We get it. We're doing the stories. We follow it. You might have somebody in your family, as you're listening to us today, that's going through something similar where they got hours cut or they're unemployed. So we understand that you may not have the money right now, but if you see a little bit, every dollar counts. Every dollar helps. That's what we're doing with the Real Men Wear Pink. I understand that not everybody can give $25 or $50, but if you can give something, if you find it in your heart, if you have the ability, we would love to see that donation go to the Real Men Wear Pink campaign for the KGUN men. That would be very much appreciated. But I just want to echo what you guys said. We do the stories too, Val. not just the one you do. We've done other stories where people are so concerned about funding and the research for these charities, and the American Cancer Society is one that's near and dear to our hearts. That's why we're doing it. So just remember that dollar added with all the other dollars can help continue funding this research that's so important, because during this time, this pandemic time, so many people are putting off things a little bit longer, and sometimes they may get that cancer diagnosis a little bit further along than they maybe would have before COVID pandemic came along. So we obviously encourage everybody to see your doctor, because it's so important, and to follow through with all of the treatments. And if you have the ability to help, please help.
And Pat, on the donation page or whatever, there is an other, which means that you can donate anything that you want. You know, there's options there. They're easy ones, 25, 50. A lot of people, I think that, well, nothing's really going to change if I donate. I need to donate 100 or 1,000, but really it adds up. It adds up fast, because this is a nationwide campaign, right, Dennis?
Correct. Yeah, it is. It's happening all over the country, and really, they've done some research for the American Cancer Society, and the average donation, when you break it all out, is about $25 to $30 per person around the country. So, I mean, yes, we have some major corporations that can give tens of thousands of dollars, but really it's the everyday person that gives the $5, $10, $25, $30 over time, is really what supports our organization. And so we can't thank everyone who's ever donated to the American Cancer Society for your support. And for those individuals, you know, if you can give us a little bit this year, we would appreciate it. But if you can't, we totally understand. And we're still going to be here for you. We'll still figure out a way to support you if you're diagnosed with cancer, so that we can get you the information that you need to make the best decisions for your disease and for your treatment options. We also want to be there for you during your treatment as well as after your treatment, so that you feel that you can still get the support. I mean, the pandemic is not taking away cancer diagnoses, unfortunately, and people are needing more help because they don't have maybe their insurance, because they lost their job, or they don't have as much money to be able to pay for their copay. And so they're reaching out to us to say, how can you help me? How can I get to my treatment option? I need a wig, or I need help with something. I don't know where to go to anymore. So we want to still be there for them, and we will be there for you. And again, any support that you can give is greatly appreciated. And even if it's just the support of doing a shout out saying, "Go Pat, thank you, Valerie, for running those stories for me," because that means a lot. I mean, whatever it is, we just want you to be involved with us in some way.
It's the awareness. You've got to always be out there, and so that people, I mean, if you're driving to Starbucks and you say, you know what, I can do without that today, and put that money towards this. And, you know, every penny is connected to a personal story, in the sense that, you know, again, it all adds up. And we've been doing these stories about how not only does it affect the person who has cancer, but also the family as well. There's a lot of support that's going on behind the scenes, and people are afraid. They might not want to talk about it. So having somebody to go to, and that's where the support staff and what American Cancer Society provides very well. But if you can also talk about that support for families, Dennis.
Yeah, so we have our 1-800 number that people can call anytime, day or night, to find out, you know, especially if you're the caregiver for someone, you always are probably wondering, am I doing enough for my loved one? And usually those questions come to your mind when you can't sleep at 2 or 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and you don't want to call somebody else. And so you can call us and just talk, you know, talk about what you're going through, or just saying, what else can I be doing for my loved one? Or what can I be doing to help myself? Because I'm having emotional issues dealing with this too. You know, it affects the whole family. So there's that support. We also try to help with local support groups. I mean, right now they're not meeting in person, but a lot of them are meeting virtually. And so we do try to hook up support groups for individuals and families who need that one-on-one time with other people who are going through a similar situation. And a lot of times, like you said, Valerie, it's just the information. People don't know where to start. You know, they've just been told by their doctor, it just all hit them. The terminologies don't make sense. The medical information is not making sense. The insurance paperwork is overwhelming, and they just need help with trying to get through it a little at a time. And that's what we can be there for.
Yeah, Pat, why don't you step in here and kind of, make that one last pitch about the donations, how it's important, and how people can do this.
Absolutely. And the easiest thing to do is just go to the KGUN9.com website, and we've got it pinned, a story about the Real Men Wear Pink campaign. And within that story, very early on, is a link, and it'll take you right to the American Cancer Society donation page for the Men of KGUN9's Real Men Wear Pink campaign. Over $550 raised so far, with our goal of $2,500. As we mentioned, $1, $5, $10, $20, anything you can afford would be great. If you just want to say thank you and give a couple bucks for us wearing the pink and wearing the pink lapel pins, we would appreciate that. It's all about showing the support for those that we all know who've been affected by breast cancer. Want to help with the research. We just want to be a part of it. We enjoy being a part of it, the Men of KGUN, the 8 of us, and we want to make it a successful event coming up on Sunday. And if you feel it in your heart, and if you financially can help, that would be great. To head to KGUN9.com, find that story about Real Men Wear Pink, and then click on the donation button. And Dennis, as well, as you know, it not only is it you can make the donation right there on the page, you can also click a button there that says that you're going to donate by check. And I think that's important too. Some people don't like to use their credit cards or debit cards on internet, so you can definitely send in a check as well.
Correct. Yeah.
And Denis, talk about your personal story, and then we'll wrap this up by again explaining the drive a little bit.
Yeah. So, although I am a staff member with the American Cancer Society, breast cancer has touched my life. Before I actually came to the American Cancer Society, and I've been here 19 and a half years, my mother was diagnosed with breast cancer. She lives in Rhode Island, and she was diagnosed probably about 25 years ago. And fortunately for her, it was just a lumpectomy. And she had treatment. She lost her hair, and she ended up at that time going to their local American Cancer Society and got the wig that she needed during her treatment. And so I was so honored when I came to work with this organization to know that my mother had already benefited from that. And then less than 3 years ago, unfortunately, her cancer came back. And it needed a little bit more surgical treatment than just a lumpectomy. But she made it through that again. So she's a 2-time breast cancer survivor. So this event means a lot to me personally because it's my mom. And that's why I am so honored to be working for this organization, knowing that my mom is a 2-time breast cancer survivor. And on Sunday, when I'm doing my drive, it'll be in her honor.
All right. Well, let's all stand united to make strides against breast cancer, and we need every one of you to help make a difference. So please join us Sunday morning for the Making Strides Drive. Now, if you cannot come and you happen to see cars pass by, can always wave and shout and honk and all that kind of stuff, because they do want the love. We all want the love. All right. Hope to see you all there.